Hello, Greg Siskind here, joined by Ari Sauer, my compatriot, co-author. What else, Ari? But most people know Ari. A lot more people probably know Ari than me in the immigration law world. He's a celeb. Anyway, welcome to the September 17th edition of a live stream that still has no name other than the Sussesr live stream.
That's a good name.
Well, maybe we'll come up with something clever. Anyway, we're here to talk about the week's immigration news. There is an assortment of news, courts and the agencies, and there's visa bulletin stuff to talk about. We'll talk about that. All kinds of things on here. So we'll get to all of that in a second. But first, Ari and I, it was a special date for us at our attorney lunch that we had today. Why was it special, Ari? What came?
It was special because we finally got the printed copy of the book that Greg and I published together.
3 volumes.
We went to 3 volumes this year. In previous years, it has been 2 volumes. We've now went to 3 volumes. It's so big.
4,200 pages. It is the Ari and I are paid by the weight.
That'd be great if we were.
Anyway,
we do. The book that we publish covers a lot of different topics. And we write this. This is a book that we publish through the American Immigration Lawyers Association that we write as a how-to guide for other immigration lawyers.
It is the systems manual for immigration lawyers. That's why people try to what is this book? It's the systems manual. It's like basically a playbook for every kind of case that you're going to work on. And it is really good on there, and I have to say. So it's going to replace this one.
There we go.
Yay.
Just replaced.
There you go.
And try not to pull anything, hurt yourself lifting it.
All right. Well, there you go. I went to my trainer this morning, but I think this is more work. All right. So, Ari, the first thing I wanted to, we were just joking, although it's no joking matter. But Ari and I are in Memphis. Memphis has made global news this week because apparently we're the next city that the National Guard and the Army and the ICE are all coming to in a big way. They're not here yet, but we are. We're waiting to see what that's all about.
And we swear, Memphis is a lot nicer than they make it seem.
We had a crime rate that was going down, but apparently not fast enough. But anyway, so I had a picture of what ICE has got special uniforms for Memphis. Ari, did you hear about that?
I heard they're trying to blend in.
Yeah, here they are. This is the new costumes. All right, taking it off. Okay, well, maybe some people got that.
But seriously,
all right, so let's talk about some immigration news, though, Ari. So this is in no order of importance, but it was something.
Why don't we start off a little bit more, just a little detail about the Trump's order. Trump's order. For those of you that don't know, Trump issued an order sending not just the National Guard, sending the National Guard, but also is sending representatives from all the federal government entities, law enforcement agencies, down to Memphis, because apparently it is so dangerous in Memphis, which it isn't, that we need the president to send the National Guard down here. And that's also immigration news, because part of what their mission is, according to the memo issued by the president, is immigration enforcement.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet quite how that's going to play out, but not looking forward to seeing it.
Well, we will see what that looks like. I do know that now there are starting to there were a bunch of resignations this week. I think at the FBI when they found out that they started putting FBI agents on the beat in Washington D.C. essentially, which is like not I think was considered to be a step down for being an FBI agent and how they're being used, but. Anyway, we'll see what that's about on here, and hopefully, we won't have anything too horrible to report.
It won't be too.
There was all right. So let's just go through some of there's some State Department news, things that come from the State Department. So one minor thing, but it's important if you're from Hungary, is that apparently Hungary's getting full visa waiver program.
Back on the list. Hungary is back on the list.
I don't think they were completely off the list. They just had restrictions.
No. They were on the list, but basically were not being issued.
Right. So they were given shorter periods of time for ESTA, and they made other things harder for them. Hungarians that were born outside of Hungary, I think, were they weren't allowing them to participate in ESTA, and there were some other things. So anyway, if you're Hungarian, check the rules for that. Also,
the requirements for the visa waiver program, for those who know, it's also called the ESTA program.
Right.
Many know it as the ESTA program.
What does ESTA stand for, Ari?
ESTA stands for the Electronic System for Travel Authorization. You thought I wasn't going to know that, didn't you?
I didn't think you were going to know that. I was going to stump you, but
no, you didn't stump me. But it's most people don't know, and it's just known as ESTA. And
okay.
Officially, it's the visa waiver program. The ESTA is the online program that you use to register for the visa waiver program.
I'm old enough to remember when it was the VWPP, the Visa Waiver Pilot Program, which it had for about 10 years. A lot of years it was a pilot program, and eventually they decided, well, maybe it's not going anywhere. All right. Another weird thing from State Department is they issued a final rule establishing a $1 fee to register for the diversity visa lottery, the green card lottery. I don't understand why $1. But apparently you can still get something for $1 in this country, which is an entry to the green card lottery, and then pray that if you get selected that you might actually get the consulate to adjudicate it before the fiscal year is over.
And just to explain that's a program that for countries that are determined as underrepresented. So where there's a smaller amount of immigrants, green card holders, permanent residents that come from those countries in the previous year. Each year there's a list the Department of State puts out, and those countries are eligible for the lottery. And it truly is a lottery. There are certain requirements for it, certain educational requirements. Now, very important, even though there is a $1 fee, other than the $1 fee, there isn't a fee to register. So, or the $1 fee is the only fee to register. And I say this because there are a lot of scammers out there that will, that make themselves look like the registration section for that, that then will charge you, larger amounts.
That is an old tradition using green card lottery scammers. They've been around for decades, so be on the lookout. I'm putting into Gemini, the AI, who are famous people who've won the green card lottery. I'm going to see if it knows. They didn't have it. The one person I always know is that the Freddie Adubo, the soccer player. I think it was the Olympic soccer player, and he was, and then also apparently Kevin Yater, who is an actor, who I don't know who that is. But I know there's more famous people that have won the lottery. Okay, so that is the some of the State Department news. Actually, the most important State Department news probably is the release of the State Department Visa Bulletin, which just came out I guess did it come out yesterday or today? It came out yesterday.
Yesterday.
But there's some important news with respect to the visa bulletin, and I know a lot of you watching pay a lot of attention to the visa bulletin. So first off, this is the first visa bulletin for the 2026 fiscal year. And that's important because the way it works with the federal government is they have fiscal years that run from October 1st to September 30th. And the visa bulletin is always released a couple weeks before the month in which it applies. So this is the visa bulletin for the first month of the federal fiscal year, which starts October 1st. And usually there's some big jumps that happen on October 1st because the new allotment of green card numbers become available. And the good news is also that in addition to some nice jumps, which I'll mention in a second, there are two charts that are used for the visa bulletin. Well, actually, there's four. There's there's
six.
If you think of DV, there's seven because they actually go 2 months out. I think the DVs. But there's the employment chart and the family chart and the DV charts. But beyond that, there are these things there's these two types of charts. One is called the final action date chart, and one is called the date of filing chart. And it's always very confusing as far as which is which.
Yeah,
the final action dates show where they are right now as far as visa availability goes. And at the final action, if you are current in the final action chart, it means that you could actually, as soon as they get finished processing your paperwork, there's a visa number available to you and you could get your green card at that point. The date of filing chart, so the theory behind that is that if they believe that a visa number is going to be available in the fiscal year, they normally, their position is they can't issue that you can't be considered current unless the visa number is available right then. But they changed the rules a bunch of years ago. They said as long as they believe the visa is going to be available in that fiscal year, they can take your adjustment of status application. But it's based on each month the USCIS has to make a determination about whether they will accept based on the date of filing chart. So you might find that you can file 6 months, 8 months, 10 months earlier than you would based on the final action date chart. So
let me just step back a step before that, because the original reason why there is a dates for filing chart and a final action date chart is because the Department of State had previously only the Department of State used the date for filing chart, and what they used that for was they would set a time frame for filing. The idea being is that by the time that chart would be when they would send out the fee bills and get your case started.
Right. If you're a consular
process, by the time you got to the point when the final action date was reached, then your case would be ready to approve. And then later on, USCIS decided, hey, we're gonna allow some months, like Greg was explaining, some months we're gonna allow applications, the adjustment of status applications, to be filed.
Usually the early months of the fiscal year. Actually, at our attorney lunch today, Elisa Taub kind of educated me on that that historically they're pretty good at, because I was like, why is USCIS being so nice right now? They're not normally. I mean, in this administration, we don't expect anything nice to come.
They're usually nice.
They do it every year, and usually it's until February or March or so, and then they will stop taking the filing date charts when it comes out.
Right, but anyway, that's for the family-based charts. They go much later, and some years they'll allow the dates for filing chart to be used throughout the entire fiscal year for the family-based.
Right. So this is today's news on the filing date chart is only for employment-based. My understanding.
Oh, did they?
I believe so.
I didn't see that. Okay, hold on. Now I have to see that.
Well, oh no,
yeah, that's. I don't think I've ever seen it.
They are using that. Everybody, go back 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, they're this for the month of October. They're allowing the dates for filing chart to be used for both categories,
both employment and family. So, like, don't take a snippet of me saying what I just said a few minutes ago. I was incorrect.
I don't think there's ever been a situation where they've required the dates for the final action date to be required for family based and allowed the.
I just saw the line that they were accepting it for employment based, but I didn't look further.
Yeah.
Family
well, because generally they allow the dates for filing chart to be used for family based. Sometimes in August, September, they might stop. But even most recently, this past month or in the month of September, they were still allowing the dates for filing. So,
all right. Well, if you are from India and you have a lot of money, there's good news. The biggest jump, I think, in the whole thing was for EB5 for India, which jumped 15 months, and it's a for EB5 from China, no change. So that was that's good news if you're in the India line. For EB1, 2, and 3, there's sort of moderate movement in the final action dates for some countries. So EB1 for China jumped 5 weeks to December 22nd, 2022. EB1 for India didn't move. It's still at February 15th, 2022. For EB2, China advanced 3.5 months. India advanced 3 months for EB2 to April 1st, 2013. And some of the other countries advanced. EB3 for China moved up to March 1st, 2021, and for India to August 22nd, 2013. So that kind of raises this point that we talked about, Ari, about today regarding downgrading. And downgrading may make sense for some people if they are, but it's tricky on there with downgrading. And USCIS, basically, they've said that they will only allow one.
Yeah, when they previously the process, there wasn't an official process for downgrading. I want to say in 2022. I could be wrong about that. Is they created the process saying that in order to do the downgrading, we would use the form I-45 Supplement J to downgrade. Now, there's 2 ways to downgrade. You can file a new I-140 in the other category, right. Or you can file an I-45 Supplement J to move the basis for that. If there's a pending I-45, the basis for that, transfer the basis of the I-45 to the other, to a downgraded I-140, and in doing so, when this process was put in place, USCIS then changed the rules and said you can only do the transfer once. So you can transfer an I-45 from a EB2 I-140 to an EB3 I-140, or vice versa, but you can't then transfer it back. You would need, in that situation, if you wanted to use the other I-140, you would have to file a new I-45.
Okay. Well, when I was talking a minute ago, I was talking about final action date charts. I'm also looking at the dates of filing charts, which are available right now. And there were actually some really significant movements, particularly for India and China. India EB1 advanced 12 months. from September 2025 to October 2025, April 15, 2023. So that was really good news. For EB2, there was a 10-month jump for the filing date chart, not the final action date chart, but the filing date chart. The final action date chart for EB2 only jumped 3 months, but the EB3 jumped 14 months for India from June 2013 to August 2014. And that's why this subject is coming up, because right now the data filing chart for EB2 for India is December 1st, 2013. And for EB3, it's August 15, 2014, which is about an 8-month difference on there. So this is a conversation you definitely want to have with your immigration lawyers about what makes sense for you. So we wanted to flag that issue, so that's all I think what I'm going to say. We want to say about that.
Right. Although I'm going to add to that. As far as you do want to talk to your immigration lawyer about it, whether or not downgrading, upgrading is good for you. But I will also say that you
keep your underlying status.
Yeah, keep your underlying status. Very important.
Especially
if you have H-1B or whatever you have, keep it. It's our recommendation that you continue to keep it till you get your permanent resident status, if you can. And also that even if it looks like one category is ahead of another category right now, that doesn't mean that will stay the case. So while it might be good for you to downgrade or upgrade, if you're not close to the priority date being reached, now might not be the time to do that. But again, never hurts to talk to your immigration lawyer about these options.
All right. So the only other thing for the State Department, and now we have to be careful about what we say apparently on here. So there is a story in the news in the U.S. right now that apparently, if you talk about this story, your TV shows will be canceled, you'll be fired from your newspapers and all that. So we're not saying anything about the particular story, but the message is from the State Department that if you are talking about this story, there will be consequences, apparently. The point on it, I guess, is that just be aware that anytime you're talking about U.S. political stuff or even non-U.S. political stuff, in your social media feeds, it has a potential consequences as far as visa issuance goes. Is that a fair thing? Is that consistent with our Constitution and our American values and free speech and all that? No, on there, but that is unfortunately the world we live in. So that is just a reminder that on here, if you talk about these subjects publicly, this current administration doesn't like it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Ari, we also, speaking of kind of saying the right things, there was also a new civics test that was released, and it is, we talk. The good news on the civics test for naturalization. So if you're taking the naturalization exam, you're applying for naturalization, you are required to take this test. People know you learn the questions and answers. You kind of learn all about the civics. They ask you that you have to pass a certain number get a certain number of them correct, and also that doubles as the English test too, I believe. And that is changing. So there is a new test that has first of all, I think you just have to get more right than you did before.
Percentage-wise, it's still the same, but there's now, instead of previously, currently you have more to get questions. 6 out of 10 questions right. Of the when it change goes into effect, you'll have to get at least 12 out of 20 questions right.
Right. So the last time they did this was in the late Trump administration, the first time, and it actually got bounced out of by a judge because some of the questions were not kind of straightforward fact questions, but were kind of propaganda types of questions on there. So we don't know what the questions say this time. We haven't gotten them, but so we don't know if this is if they clean their act up and are having a more straightforward civics exam than what they tried the last time. But it is coming. But it doesn't apply to. It only applies to if you have for people that file their naturalization applications. I guess next month, Ari, is that when it kicks in?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to find the date. I think
it's in October
17th and
yeah,
later.
it's like a month from now.
Could be off by a day or so on there.
Yeah, basically, this is like a 30-day rollout, and it doesn't. It's only if you file your N400 after October, the middle of October. This date, I think it's October 16th or 17th. If you have a naturalization application pending now, you will be subject to the civics test that is currently in existence on there. So just know that the new exam applies to you if you file the N400 next month on there. And that is a little confusing as well as about who exactly it applies to. So it is now that's one change that they're making. The other one that has been a couple weeks ago is this whole thing about it's no longer enough to show an absence to answer the questions correctly and show that you have not gotten into any kind of trouble. Now they expect you to affirmatively show that you have good character and you're a good citizen. And they're going to go ask your neighbors whether they think you're a good citizen. And that reminds you of totalitarian governments in other countries where they go ask questions of your neighbors about you. That is, I'm not the first person to mention that. But basically, you are, so what that means from a practical perspective is, you should be doing this anyway, but volunteering in your community, participating on the PTA of your kid's school, those kinds of things. So they want to see that you're that you have something that you're doing that's beyond just applying. So, but it could also be to show that you're a good family, a good provider, and that you're and that. But it's really kind of vague. All right, I don't think we've actually gotten a lot of clarity yet, or heard about people being denied because they couldn't show that they were doing enough positive work.
No, I mean, and not, well, it's still such a relatively new policy manual, and it was pretty vague. I think it's going to be really going to be an issue in that for those that have negative factors, it's just going to be at least a little bit harder to overcome those negative factors.
Yeah.
But we're really going to have to wait and see.
Well, if anybody has weird experiences, it's like let the immigration bar know. You can let me know, or your immigration lawyer. But it would be, we're looking to find out kind of like in the real world how this is playing out. All right, so there were some important things happening in the courts this week. One of the things that
it was pointed out that the new civics test is up on the USCIS website.
The test is there, but apparently they're not. I mean, they're not supposed to apply this test until next month, and actually, they're not supposed to apply it until the first people that apply after October 16th or whatever the date is in the middle of next month. Until those people are actually getting the exam. So they made a big to do about this today, but apparently I'll have to look and see if they're posting both of them or if they're like making it impossible for people to study that are subject to the current rules or not.
Well, I mean, I was able to go on here and find the 2025 test is 128 questions.
The questions right now. So, do we think can we tell what the new questions are yet?
I haven't gone through and comparing and contrast.
I'm gonna ask. So. I'm gonna go in the Wayback Machine and get.
I am curious.
And I'm gonna get the new ones. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to tell me what's missing and what's been added. I'll try and do that for next week. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So in court news, so one of the things that while I was out last week, and by the way, I was like it was in Boston at the ALA Technology Show. It was actually quite good. But one of the things that happened last week was a EOIR, the Executive Office for Immigration Review. This is the Department of Justice department that runs the immigration courts. They posted a new rule that said immigration judges no longer have the authority to issue bonds for people, and that everybody must be detained indefinitely until their immigration proceedings. No more bonds, which was kind of shocking. And the assumption was made correctly that the people would go right to the courts on that one. And so, not surprisingly, at least we've had 2 district court decisions that I've spotted, thanks to Dan Kowalski, who is an immigration law blogger who's great, old friend. But anyway, Dan found 2 cases where judges basically said, "Hey, this is a violation of the due process grounds of the Constitution," and ordered EOIR to do to have a bond hearing. In both of those cases, it was ordered, and so far, 0 for 2 for DOJ as far as that goes. And I would expect now everybody will be filing habeas petitions if they request a bond hearing and the judge says my hands are tied. Then you immediately file in federal court, and you will be rewarded by a judge, assuming they follow the Constitution. So hopefully the message will get to DOJ that they have to get rid of that. And there may be, I imagine, some kind of effort to try and force the hand in every case, but at least right now, those are 2 encouraging ones that came through. There was an important decision in the First Circuit where a judge at a lower level had stopped the end of the Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela humanitarian parole program. So a judge basically said the Trump administration could not end that program. And the Court of Appeals came in and reversed that order and said that that the administration can proceed. That affects about 430,000 people. So that's a pretty substantial decision that's already out there. So still has a long way to go in the courts, but obviously that's going to decision is going to make it easier for the government to deny benefits and probably proceedings to deport people in those categories.
Right, and it affects people's work authorization.
Yeah. No, it's like if you're in that situation, you need to talk to counsel. But right now, at least the First Circuit, if you're in the First Circuit, you're in trouble if you're in that category, if you haven't already filed something else.
This is First Circuit. So the Ninth Circuit also came out with a decision. This is for the Nepal, Honduras, and Nicaragua TPS.
No, this is for CHNV, the parole program.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there was I don't think we had TPS decisions this week. We did have something in the DC for Guatemalan migrant children, where there had been from a long time ago, temporary protections preventing the deportation of Guatemalan children in government custody. And that has been, the courts have been barring the administration from removing those children for now. And that's there's been litigation challenging the administration's attempts to remove minors that are in shelters in foster care. So that's been stopped for now. Mahmoud Khalil was in the news this week. This is the green card holder, student activist who was deported, or he was detained based on his pro-Palestinian activism. A judge in Louisiana, which is where he's being detained, ordered him deported this week. He has not been deported yet. And this is now, I guess, now that it's gone through this part, the federal courts will pick up the decision from there. I don't think he's being deported so fast, but that's something that has been going on since the beginning of the administration. Look for that. Obviously, his lawyers are claiming that it's retaliation based on his rights. And really, sort of the issue here is: do green card holders are normally considered to have rights levels that are fairly consistent with U.S. citizens on, basic constitutional protections while they're in the U.S. They can't vote. They can't get, and there's some other things that green card holders can't get, certain very high level government jobs. But for the most part, they get treated
certain tax benefits.
Yeah, but in terms of constitutional protections, generally it's been green card holders get the same constitutional protections as U.S. citizens get. So that's one of the reasons people are watching this case so closely. It's not even important what his political beliefs are on there. Sort of this broader principle of whether green card holders get the same free speech rights as everybody else. So that's what's being litigated in his case, and has much broader implications than just this person. And the last thing was there was a policy to try and bar children that were undocumented from participating in the Head Start educational program. And a judge in Seattle issued a nationwide injunction blocking the Trump administration from barring children who are undocumented from enrolling in Head Start, which I think what's basically happening. So there was this case called Plyler from 1982, I think, very famous Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court said all children in the United States have a constitutional right to public school education, at least through 12th grade. And so that is why over the years, children have been able to attend public schools, even if they're not documented. That has apparently Head Start is being treated as part of that and covered under that decision. And that is one that a number of people are saying is going to be challenged by the Trump administration. There was an effort already to challenge it in our state. You may remember several months ago, I took a trip up to Nashville with my friend Brittany Faith, our friend Brittany Faith, who is a really good immigration lawyer in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we were basically there as experts to talk to some legislators about the bill. And happily, that bill was withdrawn. So it's not an issue in our state right now. But I have no doubt that issue is coming back. So anyway, Ari, those are the decisions in the courts this week that I spotted.
Yeah,
I'm sure there were others that are missing because it seems like there's always multiple things every day that we can be reporting on. But that is my rundown.
Yeah, I would just add, as far as in H2B news,
H2B. There was
first half of the fiscal year cap was reached.
Oh yeah. That was on there. So is that was reached fairly close to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, I mean it was just reached.
So that was good. I mean, if you're in that category, it's better than normal.
Yeah, and just to explain, this is the H2B visa is for seasonal visas, and they are they're split up. There's a limit on the number of visas given out each year, so we'll just split up into 2 periods. So those that start April 1st or later, and those that start October 1st or later. So this was those that with start dates of April 1st.
All
sorry,
right. So if you're on the
earlier, before April 1st. So now there are still going to be visas available for those positions that are starting April 1st or later. Sorry, but those that are between October 1st and March start dates, those they're not accepting any more applications because they've reached the limit for the number of visas available.
Right. And I forgot to talk about 2 cases that are our cases that are worth mentioning. So one of our cases is a challenge in the DC District Court on the ban on the revocation of visas for students from a few months ago. We were successful in our litigation, forcing 300 and some odd students to be reinstated in CVIS, which was great. But we had agreed to settle that case in exchange for a number of good concessions that came from DHS. And one of those concessions was that we could continue the case against the State Department in a separate case, and which is what we just have done. We have, or actually it was about a week and a half ago. So that case in DC is filed. We will be, have some news on that hopefully shortly on there. So I'm excited that that litigation is moving forward. The other one is we are onboarding a case right now, challenging the ban on K1 entrance from. We're starting with Iran, but the idea is that under that travel ban, spouses of U.S. citizens have been exempt from that travel ban, and fiancés of U.S. citizens are considered subject to that travel ban because they barred all non-immigrant categories, even though K1s are almost identical in every respect to the I-130s for spouses of U.S. citizens. So if you are in that situation, we're working on that. We're starting with the Iranians, and if you're interested in that, go to impactlitigation.com. I think we have a banner somewhere for it. I'll try and find that. So that's those are our 2 cases that we're working on now. Here we go. Go to that webpage and you can find information. No, not that one. That one. On there, and you can find that onboarding for that case and how it works. And basically, we put a frequently asked questions document for each of these cases, so you understand who's eligible for it, what the theory is behind the case, and anyway, so that's proceeding. And we did, I guess, 35 cases in the first Trump administration with our litigation partners at Cook Baxter and Joseph and Hall and Jesse Bless's litigation shop. So Ari, I guess the last thing I had on my list, unless you have more things on your list.
No, although Lynn just posted some news about the real case. I don't know if you see what Lynn's posted.
Oh, yeah, no, I just talked about that. Okay. So that's basically more another report about Khalil's being ordered deported.
Okay.
Stay tuned on that. I don't think it's happening that fast. I did want to talk about I wanted to talk about Hyundai though.
About what? Sorry.
The Hyundai raid.
Hyundai. Okay.
On here because it's like we've been I had some reporters reaching out, and I've talked to 2 lawyers that have been involved in different respects with all of that, with getting kind of varying accounts on it. But what does seem well, so basically there's a lot of confusion, sort of like why ICE showed up at the factory in the first place on there, and they ended up, they weren't going there seeking Koreans, but somehow got a little over their skis and ended up somewhere in the neighborhood of about 400 Korean equipment installers were arrested, and that made global news, and probably everybody that's listening to it heard about this. Today, the president has once again sort of been trying to make nice with all the governors and all the foreign companies who quite reasonably went into panic mode because nobody wants to actually come to the United States anymore to actually do these kinds of installation projects that they think they might end up being put into to jail while they're waiting. And I can't imagine why that would bother anybody. But that was so President Trump's trying to do some damage control, talking about how we need these workers as long as they go home eventually. But he's talking about how we need them on there. He is going to South Korea, I think, in the next day or two. And he's probably going with lots of gift baskets at this point to make nice to the Koreans. But it is a big issue. Ari and I are in a state that has where automobile plants are like a big deal here. This part of the country, we have a Toyota plant that is about 40 miles east of us. We have another Toyota plant that's on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. We have the Nissan's U.S. headquarters in Nashville. We have Volkswagen in Chattanooga has their U.S. headquarters there. So it is so our state is just one example, but you can go down to Alabama or Georgia or any of these states. South Carolina has BMW. They all depend on these for just thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs all over the region are dependent on these foreign manufacturers that are setting up here. And one of the key things is when you set up your factory to make something that is as complicated as an automobile, you have a lot of specialists that work on getting you set up so that you can then give those jobs to American workers on there. And somebody has figured out that this is a problem if these foreign companies who were coming to the United States to do more because of tariffs all of a sudden decide, we can't win if we have to pay, that we can't import because of tariffs. And if we come into the U.S., we risk our executives and our key employees getting arrested. So anyway, this creates quite a problem from an economic development perspective. And the administration seems to be, at least at the top, with the president starting to figure out that, this big economic renaissance that he's talking about trying to bring to the U.S. is not going to happen if manufacturing doesn't actually follow all his tariffs that he's imposing. So that was the last thing I wanted to end on, because I feel like that is, this has the most potential to guide if we're going to see any kind of positive changes happening in immigration policy in the administration. It's probably going to be because of economic necessity, not because of any great feelings about immigrants. This is one example of that. The other thing that we've seen is some bad jobs numbers as far as, inflation happening at the same time. That's called stagflation, is when we have increasing unemployment at the same time as you have increasing inflation. A lot of people are pointing at the immigration crackdown as going to that. So that's the one thing I wanted to end with, this basically. Just keep an eye on that economic news, because that's probably going to have an impact on the rest of immigration for the rest of the administration.
All right.
And that's it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you can join us again next week.
Yeah. Don't know which combination it's going to be next week, but we will be here. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.